Hey everybody, it's Justin here, and this week on Before After the Fact, we are discussing traveling. And if you'd like to hear the whole thing, patreon.com/ohhijustin. But here's Christina, Joe, and myself discussing traveling to go see a band. You said 8 hours. You said you went 8 hours to go see Blink-182. I was wondering, number one, is there another trip that you've been on like that where you drove that long to go see a band, or is there a band that you would travel that long for still around?
So I haven't. That was the longest trip I've ever taken to go see a band. I would definitely travel that far, if not farther, to go see the Story. Actually, you know what? I did take a trip longer than that. I flew to San Diego to see the Story so far.
Yeah. At least mileage-wise, for sure.
Yeah, well, actually, so it ended up being longer because that was a full day of travel. Where, well, I guess, okay, technically, because I drove down to South Carolina and drove back in the same day, but I flew across the country to see the Story so far. So
that's pretty massive.
Yeah.
So, Christina, is there a band that you have traveled, a great distance to go see, or that you would travel a great distance to go see?
Well, yes, I live in the middle of nowhere. So seeing anybody does require like a minimum of like 4 hours of travel, usually. Like not a lot of people come to Fargo. It just doesn't happen. So Minneapolis is generally the closest, and I've done that many, many times, and it's usually like 3.5, 4 hours. But I've driven from Fargo all the way to New Jersey to Asbury Park. Got to see Gaslight Anthem and Jimmy Eat World, and I believe I saw Yellowcard at that festival, if I remember correctly. And it was Bayside was there. It was really, really cool. So that was super fun. I drove all the way to Austin, Texas and back and saw Band of Horses, which is 24 hours down.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
I think New Jersey was like 22 or 23, and then Texas was 24. So saw Florence and the Machine, Foo Fighters, Band of Horses. It was really Shaky Graves in his hometown, which was super, super cool. And then flew to Atlanta to see Shaky Knees Festival and saw Shaky Graves there as well. Saw Jane's Addiction, Deftones, Explosions in the Sky. Yeah, that was really cool. The longest I've driven recently, though, about a year ago, for my birthday last year, I drove to Wichita, Kansas from Fargo, which is about 10.5 hours, and I went to see Guns N' Roses.
Ooh.
And I would do it again in a heartbeat. They were supposed to actually come to Fargo this summer, and it got canceled for COVID. I was supposed to be able to walk 13 blocks to be able to see them.
No.
Damn 2020.
I know,
it was
right?
the worst. I was like, oh man, I drove 10.5 hours one way to go see Guns N' Roses, and then now they're going to be in my backyard, and I can not have to plan out an entire week to drive down there and back. And it was awesome. Guns N' Roses, it's one of those where you were like, maybe Blink-182 is going to call it and I won't be able to see them again. It was the same thing with Guns N' Roses. I was like, man, they did call it quits. Yeah. And then somehow the stars aligned, and I got to see Slash, Duff, Axl all together. And Duff McKagan's probably one of my favorite musicians of all time. So it was really cool to be able to see them. And they played Locomotive for the first time in 28 years or something at the show that I was at. So it was really cool. I'd definitely do it again.
And there you have it, discussing traveling to go see bands. You can hear that entire conversation on patreon.com/ohhijustin on the After the Fact from that week. Also, if you'd like to hear our discussion on Yellowcard, it comes out Thursday. Every episode of Deprogrammed is available on Thursdays, and it comes out on all podcast platforms. Would love to have you aboard.